everybody. Once again, happy Wednesday on episode 5 of Citizens United. My name is John Rustino, and I want to introduce you to my co-host, as you guys know, Chris Fortin. Hey, Chris.
Hey, John, here we go again. Let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah, well, we're ready today. We got a... I got to say something to you first before we introduce our guest.
Absolutely.
Do you know, and this is like turning into domination, maybe. We hit our 12,000th view.
Wow.
In 4 episodes. So that's pretty good. We had 12,000 combined in 4 episodes. Not bad.
And that's not fuzzy math.
No, that's good math.
That's good math.
That's real news, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're heading on our way. I want to get to 100. You know what I mean? We could dominate.
Up and to the right, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, here's someone that everyone knows in Niagara County for years, 10 years. I think about almost 10 years at WLVL radio. Maybe 7. Something like that. But anyways,
felt like at least 10.
Yeah. And he's also he was also city editor of the Lockport Sun and Journal, I believe, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
you were that.
Among other jobs, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah. You're an actual journalist.
I'm a reporter.
You're a reporter, okay.
Peter Jennings was a journalist.
Yeah. Ex-Niagara County chairman of the Libertarian Party. And it's Scott Loeffler, everyone. Here he is.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Happy you're here because we want to talk about third parties. We had Green Party in the other night, and that was Wade Van Valkenburg, and it was really good.
Bunch of commies.
Yeah, we were trying to get as many options out there for people instead of Democrats and Republicans. And so many don't even realize that they exist. I was surprised. Chris, right?
Yes.
You didn't know?
No.
Yeah, see? And that's just the way it is. Some people just don't know. They always think it's just Dems and Republicans. So here we are with Scott Loeffler, who I'm going to have to call our, and he's our expert on libertarianism. What's that, Chris?
Go ahead.
No,
Go
okay,
ahead.
no.
Oh, I was going to say, well, I knew about the Green Party, but I didn't really know much of, I knew of them, but I didn't know so much about what they stood for. But I was glad to hear that they were pro-green vegetables. So continue on, sir.
These guys might be too, but we'll find out.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, Scott.
Continue on.
Yep.
All right. And welcome, Scott. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Chris, it's my honor. Thank you.
Scott,
Definitely.
let me ask you something, though, before we start. Because I had a couple people that remember you from WLVL days and stuff. They're wanting to know what you're doing now. What are you doing now?
What am I doing now? All right, so I do a variety of things. I've been running an online radio station for, 14 years now, still doing that. I run an online news agency, so that's kind of fun. Actually, that branched off from the online radio station. I pay the bills by doing narration. Right. I voice radio commercials, TV commercials, a lot of YouTube videos, some audiobooks, although I hate doing books, phone systems, that sort of thing, answering machines, you name it. Like if you want me to say something out loud, I literally charge by the word, but I'll say it.
That is so awesome.
For the most part, I have had a couple things that I've refused to do, a couple clients that I've had to fire because there are some things I couldn't say out loud.
Well, what is that? What do they call that? Because I remember a guy I worked with for a little bit on a podcast. He's a comedian. His name was Mike Bichetti, and he was doing stuff where people wanted him to. I can't remember the name.
Voiceovers.
Yeah, but it was like they would call and say, crazy stuff. They're going to call. Gilbert Gottfried was doing it too.
Oh, like prank calls?
No, just calling and saying it's someone's birthday. I want you to call and say something. What is that? I can't remember what the platform is, but whatever.
Like a phonegram?
So it's mostly like B-level celebrities that are doing it, and like for $50 they'll sing happy birthday to you, something like that.
Or they'll insult you.
I actually I wish I could remember the name of it because I actually purchased one of those for my daughter for Christmas because one of the people that was doing it was Steve from Blue's Clues.
Oh, wow.
And I just thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
that is cool.
Here's your Christmas present. It's Steve from Blue's Clues. Say Merry Christmas.
John, I'm going to sign you up for like a service like that.
Me?
But yeah, instead of like going for like happy birthday or something, I think I'll send you like Teddy Grahams.
It's really weird.
Like a bear a month or something. Like instead of like what do they call it? Like pizza bombing during COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just going to send you teddy bears.
All right. Well,
I'm just keeping it real over here.
That's fine.
Because, politics can get kind of crazy, especially these days. And I just want to say one thing before we get into it is if you don't put yourself, I'm going to steal this from Edge of the Falls and Brett. And, a few things he did say was, you know, if you don't put yourself in trouble, or you don't put your kids in trouble, or you're not doing things you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing, you're probably not going to be getting in trouble or getting arrested or being thrown in a cop car. So my advice is, don't put yourself in trouble, and stay out of trouble, and you probably won't get in trouble. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that later, but
Okay.
we're definitely going to get into.
Anarchy light. That's really about the best way I can describe it. It takes certain aspects. Well, it doesn't take anything, but it involves certain aspects from the Republican Party, certain aspects from the Democratic Party. The financial aspects from the Republican Party, for example, less taxes. Actually, libertarians, pure libertarians, believe in no taxes. They believe
Right.
that taxation is theft. I don't go quite that far. I do understand the necessity for taxes, but I get the taxation is theft thing too. So they believe in letting people keep their money and letting them pretty much do what they want. To sum it up very succinctly, you can do anything you want to do, John,
Right.
as long as it doesn't harm someone else. So if you want to sit in your basement and shoot guns and do cocaine, that's fine with a libertarian. But if you want to give that cocaine to a minor, now we've got a problem.
Okay.
If you want to shoot the gun at someone, now we've got a problem. But for the most part, you know, if
Right.
you want to do something that doesn't have a negative effect on anyone other than you,
Kind of like live free or die.
it's
the slogan.
It's very much like live
Yeah.
free or die.
Yeah.
And libertarians, for the most part, allow you to harm yourself if you want to. You know, if
That's
you
your
want
right, yeah.
if you want to not wear a seatbelt and be stupid and get into an accident and die, it's on you.
Poke pencils in your eyes. That's your
so
choice too.
A lot of quote unquote public safety things, you know, libertarians
Right.
oppose because they're designed to protect the person, and the person should have the right not to do that. Now, during pandemic, COVID, things get tricky.
Yeah.
You know, as you noticed when I walked in here, I'm wearing a mask. I'm not now, obviously, but I was. I didn't shake anybody's hand. We did the fist bumps, knocked elbows. I have been very, very careful for two reasons. I don't want to get sick.
Right.
I don't want to get anybody else sick.
Simple. Perfect.
So a lot of people might think that a libertarian view would be to say, you know, no, we're not going to wear masks. That's violating our freedom. How do I put this? I don't know what your language barriers are.
Literally, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
I mean, it's up to you.
We're not just
It is a
assholes.
family. Yeah,
I mean,
it is a family show sometimes, but not tonight.
We can be, but we don't
Right.
we don't necessarily go out of our way to be assholes. So we're not going to do it's not do whatever you want and don't worry about the consequences for anybody else. And there's been a push lately, I'd say within the last 10 years or so, by certain people claiming to be libertarian who aren't.
Right.
And really they're just selfish. And there's a selfishness to libertarianism, and it's okay to take care of yourself. Greed is good, to quote Wall Street. But not greed at other people's expense. Not taking care of yourself at other people's expense. We still believe that, you know, society exists.
Right.
I can't just start shooting because I want to start shooting.
And let me interrupt for 1 second. And that's the point with the mask that you just said is very good. Is you don't have the right to infect me.
Exactly.
That's why you wear a mask.
Exactly.
And that's exactly where you're going. A very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. It's not to protect me. It's to protect you. And you as a libertarian would view it as basically these are the guidelines, and it's up to you if you want to follow it.
Now, when you
Right? Would you say as far as wearing one?
Yes. So I think that most libertarians would, you know, if you didn't want to wear a mask, they might look at you funny, but they probably wouldn't chastise you for it.
They wouldn't
Right.
look down on it because
Right.
they look at it as it's a choice thing.
But I would personally prefer not to get sick, so I would rather you wore a mask.
Sure.
But I'm not going to call the cops over it.
No,
And generally speaking, libertarians aren't going to call the cops pretty much over anything. We're very self-sufficient, self-sustained. And now I say we. I don't want to put myself out here as a prototypical libertarian. Libertarianism it's an enigma because you can have two people who both claim to be libertarian, who both are libertarian actually, who literally have different points of view on everything, but still agree in libertarianism.
Okay.
Because I said earlier that it takes certain aspects from the Democratic Party, certain aspects from the Republican Party. And again, it's not taking them from those parties. It's just that's how it aligns. Right. So you can say, all right, well, I don't necessarily agree with this part of libertarianism. And so you switch sides on that one.
Right.
And then somebody else could switch sides on something else. So you could literally be sitting next to another libertarian and you don't agree on anything, but you agree on libertarianism, if that makes any sense at all.
No, it does. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. And I also think there has to come a point where, like, it's not really liberal or conservative. No, because they kind of merge somewhere in the. It feels like they would.
When I was a registered Democrat, I always felt like there were certain aspects that just, it seemed to me as though this point of view goes with this. I'm trying to think of an example. So when I was a registered Democrat, and I was a registered Democrat for the first part of my life, I ran for office twice as a Democrat, not here in the state, not here in New York, but in Ohio, and I was vice president of my college Democratic committee. But I always felt like there were certain things that just didn't align right. When I was a Democrat, I considered myself a pro-gun, pro-life Democrat.
Right.
Now, those are two very not democratic positions.
Yeah.
And in fact, the pro-life issue, the Libertarian Party is completely split on it. Last I knew, I haven't actually looked at this year's platform, but last I knew, the Libertarian Party didn't take a stance on abortion because people are so split on it.
Right.
Because there's the aspect that you can do what you want with your body, but then there's the aspect that it affects somebody else. And so that's always the difficulty with abortion in general. But libertarianism generally, I don't want to say we go along to get along, because that's definitely not true. Right. We can definitely be jerks. But we can also, really keep to ourselves. Anarchism light. That's kind of how I describe it.
Anarchism like? Is that
anarchism light?
Oh, light.
Yeah. And anarchism gets a bad rap. People think of anarchy and they think of looting, and they think of burning buildings and just
no rules.
And anarchism is a lack of government, but it's not a lack of society. It's not a lack of social norms. Anarchists are, for the most part, real anarchists are non-aggressive. The part of the principality of anarchism is that it's non-aggressive. And the same is true for libertarianism. There's a non-aggressive aspect to it that, in order to be libertarian, that's one thing that you pretty much have to agree on, is that you're non-aggressive.
Right. Well, I wanted to ask you,
John, real quick before you do
go
that,
ahead.
just want to send a shout out again to all our social media followers. Thank you for tuning in and watching where you may be watching from. We certainly do appreciate if you like and share our video, have a watch party, whatever you want to do. Thank you, Blake Lemoy, for tuning in. Peter's on there helping us as always. And if you do want to call in, our phone number is 716-804-1229. And John will answer, usually does, as long as he knows how to use his phone tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
You're good tonight on that, okay.
We're set up.
We do, let's see, we have a question in here from Nick Nielsen. Let's see, does accepting those titles diminish your status? Why be a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian when you can just be a man or woman? It's like claiming the title citizen. Citizen is a lower status than man or woman. Why claim those titles? Do we have any comments on that, anyone?
Well,
kind of is what it is, right? Says what it is.
Why is citizen a lower status than a man or woman? I think that by making that definition, I really don't get it.
Yeah, maybe Nick, give us a call if you'd like.
I thought citizen would be actually a higher title.
I guess my thought is, if you're opposed to titles, then aren't all.
Why would
titles
you label
diminishing?
yourself a
right?
Yeah.
or
It's
label
kinda-
yourself a man or woman for that matter. But
That's given yeah.
I guess for me, I claim libertarianism. I call myself a libertarian because it makes it easier to find other people who are generally like-minded.
Right.
If I just go somewhere and I only know people's political affiliation, I already know some things that we agree on. So it's a starting point to have a conversation, or certain things to stay away from.
Right.
And then
so I think titles can be helpful.
Yeah.
Nick said citizen is a title created by Congress, and claiming to be a citizen puts you under their jurisdiction.
Well,
I don't
mean,
know.
we would be under their jurisdiction no matter what we call ourselves, man, woman,
Right.
or citizen. We're
Right.
still under. I mean, we're talking about voting and having a choice. I mean, I vote on principles. I mean, I can call myself whatever I want. Green Party, Democrat, Libertarian, but I'm going to go to the ballot box taking my vote based on what is this person going to do for the average person or for me specifically.
Nick,
you know?
I'd love to hear you expound on this a little bit.
Yeah.
I know they've thrown the phone number up here a couple times. I don't remember it, but Nick, if you want to call, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what
Yeah,
you're thinking
sure.
here, because
716-804-1229. That's
Yeah.
on the
I
screen
don't think
as
that we
well.
disagree
Thank
on a
you,
lot of
guys.
things, but
Peter.
I don't see where you're coming from here. So I'd love to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts more.
give us a call. Give us a call. Now, I got to ask you another question. Ron Paul was a libertarian, right? Or was he not?
No, Ron Paul was a libertarian. Rand Paul claims to be a libertarian, and at times he is, but lately he's not. Ron Paul was definitely libertarian, and like all of us, he veered at times as well. But Ron Paul, I would say, for people of a certain age, Ron Paul is your prototypical libertarian.
Right. Now, what? My next question is: I think you already answered this though. What would what would a libertarian? I don't even know if I want to say president. Let's go president. There's a libertarian president.
Okay.
And they can do what they want. Forget Congress, how they can block everything. What's national defense like with a libertarian?
All right, so libertarians are, again, non-aggressive.
Right.
So pretty much a libertarian would want to bring home as many troops as humanly possible. A libertarian would want to have as few international incursions as possible. So defense is literally for defense.
Right.
Not for nation building, not for promoting the American way. Defense is literally for defense. So the defense budget would be slashed and burned like you wouldn't believe.
It's only for protection.
Exactly.
Basically, if we're attacked, then you would have the military
I
respond.
I find it somewhat ironic that when the nation was born, we had the Department of War.
Mm-hmm.
And we were very much opposed to actually going to war. And at some point or other, it became the Department of Defense.
Right.
At which point we decided, defense.
We're gonna
war,
go on offense.
Whatever. Exactly.
Right.
So for the most part, a libertarian is going to tell you that as little international incursion is humanly possible. Obviously, sometimes it's necessary, but we don't need to be in the Middle East, for example, propping up one authoritarian regime as opposed to another because we're going to get better gas prices.
Yeah,
from
the
it.
world's police, and we,
Right.
for the most part, we have always foot the bill until Trump came in office. And again, I don't normally agree with anything he does, but if we're providing security and we're protecting your country, we should be paid for that.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Okay.
Because
We can't do it for free, right?
then we shouldn't do it.
I'm thinking.
I don't want my military to be a mercenary force. And if you're renting the military out to an authoritarian regime, we are a military force. We're a mercenary force for something that we probably don't believe in.
Well, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be an authoritarian force. If it was, I'm just saying
All right.
in
So
general.
as a
if we-
libertarian, they're all authoritarian
Right.
forces.
Oh, okay. But I mean, yeah, if it'd be like a security guard, providing
Well,
security at a building,
like-
you would have
Right,
to get
but-
compensated, right?
But if I join the military, do I get to choose whether I want to be the mall cop for Israel or whether I want to be a mall cop for Kurdistan or
Nope, you go where they tell you.
yeah, see, and suddenly I don't like that. I don't like it at all.
Well, like I did like recently, and you saw the Democrats and Republicans really go crazy when the president decided he wanted to take, 11,000 troops out of Germany,
Right.
I think. They flipped out. I mean, all hell broke loose.
Right.
Very upset, and we know why they're so upset.
Sure,
But,
and that was both sides. Both
Yeah.
Yeah.
both the Democratic and the Republican Party really like to. They like to get out there. You know, they want America to be a force for good. They define good differently, but they want America to be out there and be a force for good. Libertarians don't want America to be a force for anything. We just leave us alone. Let us sit in the basement, smoke pot, and have gay weddings. I saw a question in the Facebook comments. Somebody wanted to know about the LGBTQ stance.
Okay.
And it's pretty simple. Again, whatever two consenting adults, and you have to be consenting and adult, and it doesn't necessarily have to be two. It could be 7 if you want. We hear about thruples, right? You ever heard of a thruple? Yeah. Well, you could have a quintuple or a sextuple, or I don't care how many people you have in a relationship. You can enter into as many contracts as you want to with as many people as you want to, as long as everybody's in agreement, nobody gets hurt. So if you want to have a 7-member bisexual marriage,
Yeah.
does it affect me? It doesn't affect me in any way, so I shouldn't have any say in it whatsoever. And that's basically what it would come down to. So a lot of people say, well, we can have gay relationships or whatever, but not marriage because the state sanctions marriage. Well, why?
Right.
The state sanctions marriage mostly for tax purposes. And if we lessen the taxes like libertarians mostly want to, then that's not really a thing anyway.
Right.
So your relationship or your marriage is between you, your partner, and your God. And if you don't have a God, then you, your partner, and, oh, look, just the two of you. Or if there's more people in the relationship, then however many you want.
Right.
I think I've gone on about this too much. I don't want people to think that libertarian is just an orgy.
Right.
Although
No.
it could be, which is,
Okay with them.
a nice side
Okay
effect.
with them. Yeah. I mean,
Well, that's I guess that's what we're learning, everyone, that it's basically if you're not hurting anyone, it's fine.
Right.
Pretty much. I mean, if as long as you're not hurting anyone,
That's overly
you're good.
simplified, but
Simple,
that's about right.
Yeah. Well, what about?
you're being a little
What?
yeah.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, Chris?
What do you mean?
I can tell John, you're being a little like
Why?
I can't think of the word.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
um
What am I doing?
okay, so that's where we are in this world now. Like, it's okay to do any sarcasm, I guess.
No, I wasn't being sarcastic.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was saying that's what that's a libertarian. I believe that to be true. They believe that as long as you're not hurting anyone.
Right, but in general, is that okay? Are you okay?
You're asking me if I'm okay with that now. Well,
Yeah.
I never really care what people do in their privacy. It's not for me to say. I have no business getting involved in someone's sexuality, someone's whatever. I don't have. That's not for me to say.
No. Maybe I was just reading into the tone a little, like.
Yeah, no.
I mean, as far as a party, if that's what they believe, but in general, life, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm speaking for myself.
Sure.
Like, as long as it's not hurting someone else, is it okay? I mean, that's pretty broad, right?
Well, what do you think about what about when someone is really sick and they decide, you know what, I'm going to end my life? I mean, what do you think of that, Chris? I mean, I know
Assisted or not assisted?
I don't care, whatever it is.
Okay, yeah, I mean, somebody has the right to do that, sure.
But
Are you asking me if I agree with it?
Yeah. Well, I don't think they have the right to kill themselves. I mean, they can do it, but
Wait, why wouldn't they?
do they?
Of course.
They
Oh,
can
wait, back up. You mean as of right now?
Yeah.
No, as of right now, if you kill yourself, you will definitely go to jail.
Yeah. If you survive, yeah. Yeah, if you survive, yeah.
So for some bizarre reason, I'm almost positive that in the state of New York, suicide is illegal.
Right.
But so I was confused about it. You meant as of right now in the books, do we have the right or not? But now look, suicide's difficult, right? Because I think most people have had a friend that's committed suicide. I lost a really close friend a couple of years ago who killed himself, and I can't say that it was entirely shocking. It was shocking, but there were signs, so we weren't that shocked, I guess. We're still hurt. So suicide's weird because it does affect other people.
Right.
Let's say you're a single parent. If you're a single parent and your children are minors, does that change the situation? You know, there are obviously gray areas that would make everything difficult. But for me, like, I'm 67 years old and I've got, some debilitating cancer, and I don't have anyone depending upon me for anything. I don't think that anyone else should be able to tell me that I have to live out my torturous life.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Right.
I was thinking that, just more like a medical type thing. Where
but as is typically the
should
case, there are
somebody have
gray
the
areas
right?
with everything.
Absolutely, they should have the right to do that.
Yeah.
I feel. Yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
You got anything else in there?
No,
chat room?
I'm just mixing the pot a little. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of good thoughts and comments. We are a show that we want to be interactive with our listeners, with our followers. We do love the social media, the questions and things, but please give us a call, 716-804-1229 if you have a question, a comment, concern, or you just want to have an idea of something positive.
All right, now we're gonna get off of. I want to get off of libertarian stuff for a minute. I want to talk to you, Scott, about journalism.
Sure.
Because I know you said you're a reporter.
Yeah.
All right, but I think this is a good question to ask you. What's the matter with it now? I mean, it's horrible. I don't know if it exists anymore. And I know everyone thinks they're a journalist, and I know everyone thinks they're, because of Twitter and everything else.
Right. And then that's part of what's the matter with it. Part of what's the matter with it is that the trend to have citizen journalists who have no ethics, who have no training, who have no nothing, and you've got people competing. You've got one person following a certain set of rules, and you've got another person that's being just completely willy-nilly. And in a lot of ways, the person that's not following any rules is constantly rewarded.
Right.
It's going to tear down the institution of journalism. For example, you've got a reporter at the Susquehanna Times, right?
Right.
And this reporter works for months and months and months on a story, interviews dozens of people, and finally gets what they think is a great story and puts it out there, and people may or may not believe it, and people may or may not read it. And this person literally spent, scores or hundreds of hours and dollars trying to source this story and do what they think is right. And then you've got this other guy with a cell phone who sees what appears to be Prince Charles giving somebody the finger.
Right.
And the guy with the cell phone sells that photo to the Daily Rag for $100,000 and calls it journalism.
Yeah. And
we've got people that are agreeing that the cell phone photo of Prince Charles not giving the finger, and was it Prince Charles, or was it? It might have been one of the kids. Anyway, but I mean this actually happened.
Right.
And so we've got this thing that people are calling journalism. They're like, oh no, I'm a reporter too. To me, there's a certain training to it. There's a certain there are ethics involved that
hopefully you went to college for it.
That a lot of today's reporters just don't have, and so it gets really difficult when you've got a company that's paying people to put out a product, getting beaten by people standing on the street with a cell phone who have no rules that they have to follow.
Right. I mean, for me, it's just I always thought of journalism being like the fourth, the fourth
fourth
thing.
estate.
Yeah, yeah. It should be. It's got to be. We need them. And you can't even watch. I got to be honest. I can't watch CNN, Fox, or MSNBC. I just can't do it. It's almost. I know what they're doing to me. I know what they're doing.
They all twist it.
Yeah, I know what they're doing. I mean, that's the thing. We know what they're doing, and we're still watching it, and I don't understand how, I mean...
They're trying to create a narrative, and there's nowhere else to go for. What other news outlet do you have? You can try CBC, but...
Well, the problem is that Fox figured out years ago that opinion-style reporting is profitable. And the other organizations have followed them on it. Now, Fox went to the right, CNN and MSNBC both went to the left, but they're basically following a business model. And part of the problem is that we've turned journalism, which was never meant to make money.
Money over morality.
That's not true. I mean, it wasn't meant to make the type of money that it's making. In fact, most television stations in the 50s and 60s, their news departments lost money year after year. Right. But they looked at it as their civic duty. Well, the Fox model taught us that news can make money, but only if it's just kind of news. And so MSNBC and CNN have followed them in suit in being kind of news, which is, it's commentary, right? They don't want to call it opinion, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's not Peter Jennings, it's
exactly.
not Walter Cronkite or Tom Brokaw.
Those are people that I hold up as, they
true
are
journalists,
right?
And they earned their way. They lived through a lot of.
They were corresponding. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That was they were doing their job, and a lot of their learning was on the job training in combat or at different wars, Vietnam, different things.
As I said earlier, and as you repeated, I refer to myself as a reporter. I do not call myself a journalist. That is a very high word. That is a very esteemed position. And it's something that I strive to be a journalist, but most of the time I'm just a reporter. And I think that a lot of people don't even consider that there should be a sense of respect there. I don't know.
No, I hope. I mean, I don't know. From what I'm seeing, I'd always thought, Americans should never want the media to go away. And the fact that I swear sometimes I think they want it to go away.
Yeah.
You don't realize how bad things will get.
Right.
If we didn't have we didn't have reporters, we didn't have journalists. I know fake news, I know all that. But man, I'll tell you, it would be a disaster if we ever lived in a place where we had no media.
Right.
We need it. We have to have it. But all right, I got another thing for you.
And please vote. That's another thing. Please vote.
Wow.
That's one thing if we'd had media or corrupt media or fake media. But to have no media, you better think twice about your vote or not voting or showing up or whatever you're feeling. Get out, rock the vote, folks.
Scott, remember when you were at WLVL and
Maybe.
It was, I remember Tom Christie.
Yeah.
And didn't you guys do a march? Something like for a First Amendment. I don't know what it was. Going to the courthouse, the county courthouse. Something like that, because they were stopping people from talking. And I swear I thought there was something going on.
So, Tom was more of an activist than I ever was. I had my activist moments, but I don't recall this. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, and it doesn't mean that I wasn't involved. But I don't recall it.
You don't recall it? All right. Well,
but generally speaking, I tried to keep my activism on air because I didn't feel like it was appropriate off air.
Another question. When you're thinking of Niagara County and you think of Niagara County corruption, first name that comes to your mind?
Wait, I'll give you a hint. It starts with 3 initials.
Are you trying to get me sued again?
No. Who comes to mind?
I've already beaten one lawsuit from this guy.
All right, I think I know who it is.
Is it the guy that gives out tickets and stuff?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's the guy who's back in the paper.
Oh, is it start with the M?
I don't know why he's important.
And we're not talking about vehicles, right?
I don't know why he's important.
But
again.
here's my thing with.
He's trying to be important by throwing darts at other people. But there's a method to his madness, right? There's a reason why he's back in the news.
Well, he's going to be he's got a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he's going to be backing a lot of Republicans coming up. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He's back.
Oh yeah.
Because people let him come back.
Yep.
And the more they keep voting for those people that, I mean, when you think of his name, there's another name that goes right along with it, and it starts with a W. And that name always is there with him. but we're gonna. This is
You would
this is
consider
my
them
thing.
political brothers almost.
But here's the thing: if you want to put an end to all that,
Get rid of them.
you've got to vote against that.
Yes.
You can't keep on voting for this. Like, it's really frustrating because.
Well, that's
Here's
why
a
we're
good
here.
example.
We're getting
No,
the message out.
here's
And we
a
have
good
special
example.
guests.
Let me give an example. Everyone, at least in this city, and I'm sure throughout the county, don't like the governor. You know, the governor's always a problem. Governor Cuomo is a problem. But every single time that this place, the city of Niagara Falls, gets to vote, they vote for the person that's closest to the governor. They vote for the person that would stand there with Kathy Hochul. They vote for the person. They got two other people that you could
Tell
have
us,
made
man.
many
Go. Keep
choices, and you decide to go with somebody who is with him. So what are you really? I don't know, man. I just don't.
I'm going to get you. You hear those
Yeah,
sirens.
I know,
Those
I
are for
hear
you. You're not allowed to say these things, John.
No, I just know. Do you know what else isn't any good anymore? Do you guys remember the Niagara Reporter when it was good?
Yes.
Oh, we had a comment in there from the Noel D intern. Said I'm going to go back
Okay.
real quick. She said it was right here. Niagara. All I know is the Niagara Reporter isn't shit. This is quote from Noel Del Zoppo. All I know is they're shit. They aren't journalists or reporters. They are lowlifes and rapists. And there's a guy that works there thinks that he's invincible, but we have some people taking care of him.
Well, I tell you this.
I don't want to know what I just stepped into.
The Niagara Reporter.
I know
though,
a guy or two.
They're not holding anyone accountable. We know that. They do four things. It's Wetaskic, it's the mayor of Niagara Falls, it's the Little Bakery, and now North Tonawanda. This is incredible. They've paid $2,000 a month to have this 2-page bulletin in there. Think about that, $2,000 a month. I don't know where they're getting it from, to be in the favor of the Niagara Falls Reporter. So I don't know, man. We're in trouble around here. You want to talk about no media? We have none.
Yeah.
In Niagara County, there's none. It's a blackout.
Yep.
I would agree.
Totally.
You know, I think that everybody should. I think that everybody should read their daily paper. I think that everybody should be subscribed to the New York Times and or the Washington Post. I think that everybody should watch the evening news and probably your local news at 6 and then the national news at 6:30. I think that people should consume as much media as possible from as many sources as possible. But I got to tell you, I do feel that the local media and the newspapers here in Niagara County and the Buffalo News, I find them very disappointing. I feel as though they could do so much more. And there was a time, by the way, when I did actually have a great deal of respect for the Niagara Falls Reporter, and it was obviously it had to be in the Mike Hudson days.
Right.
Although Hudson had his idiosyncrasies as well, but I did feel as though at times they attempted to do journalism. And I legit have no idea what they are now. And then they brought Art Voice down with them, and it's just, it's a mess.
No, it's pretty much just the four things I said, and I had to add NT into it now, are pretty much it.
Right.
Every story will be about the mayor, about the Wetaskic, or about the Little Bakery. Every single one, and everyone is glowing. You'll never find one that isn't. It's incredible. I mean, just the ass kissing of all. I mean, I've never seen anything like. It's not even. They don't report anything else.
Right.
Just them four. Well, we're gonna get.
Tell us how you really feel.
No, that's what
It's
they're
beautiful.
That's
Yeah,
what they're
keep
doing.
going.
I can't help. I mean, will you read it? You guys
Yeah.
see what it is. And real quick,
Usually it's copied from another paper, is what I notice.
real quick for our local listeners. I don't know if you saw the Niagara Falls Water Board doing what they normally do. And
we
now-
kind of got into that a little bit last
yeah, but
week.
now they've just hired 3 attorneys at $295 an hour to try.
From what money?
I don't know, but they're doing that because now they're fighting off the charges of the whistleblower getting fired, racism, and everything else.
Racism because of the promotion, right?
They're just doing their normal thing. They've been doing this forever, as you know, Scott. You know how this goes.
Oh, yeah.
It hasn't stopped.
Nope.
It has not stopped, and
Nope.
it's not going to stop. It's actually getting worse because of things like the Reporter and that and the Gazette. No one, they know you're not looking.
Mm-hmm.
And they call it, pretty much they think you're a sucker. because you're not going to change. You have chances to make a change, and you won't, and we won't. I should say we, because it ends up being what it ends up being.
One of the problems, and I don't know the problems is the word, but people think, oh, we'll change it. We'll change administrations, and that'll change how things happen. But that's not how government works. Trump likes to talk about the deep state, which I don't think is a thing. But there is a deep state-like faction to most government. There's the bureaucracy of it all is really how things happen. Civil servants and union members, they're the ones that really, when it comes down to it, they do a lot of the grunt work, and they make a lot of the decisions, whether or not the politicians want to believe it. But so you go from administration to administration, and things don't get better. And a lot of times they do get worse because you've got, Johnny Paycheck, who's going, oh, all right, so we're on to a new administration here, and I'm still good. Let's double down. And so it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Oh, don't get John started on that. The unions here.
Or they think, maybe the gravy train's going to end, so they double down, and then it doesn't end, and then they're like, oh, well, I'll just keep rolling with what I'm doing. So a lot of the problem with government isn't the elected officials, it's the day-to-day grunts who might not have it in their best interest to do a good job. They might have it in their best interest to not do a good job. And it's it's a difficult thing to overcome.
Right. No, it is difficult, and I'm just hoping that our podcast here, Chris, can try to do what no one's doing, holding people accountable, kind of trying to find corruption and say it, because it's gone now. Scott used to have a show that did it. We don't have it anymore. There's nothing. We got Vincenello, who does a show, and I don't know why anyone would ever want to take government advice from him, but they do.
Yeah.
They do. There's a group of people, like 6 of them, that will do that.
They crawl away for a little bit, and then they show up. Yeah.
Can I just say, and this is completely off, well,
sure.
not off topic,
absolutely.
but it's a sidebar. When I was at WLVL, I was there for about 7 years, and my point of view at the time did not match the station.
Right.
Station management didn't like anything that I said, but they never once told me what to say. And I can't tell you how much I respected Dick Green in the management at WLVL for letting me do my thing. I had one rule, and that was don't cost us advertisers. And I broke that rule a lot.
Right.
And I never had, there were never any repercussions from it whatsoever. I know I left WLVL somewhat suddenly, or to a lot of people it appeared to be somewhat sudden. Had nothing to do with politics. So I don't want there to be any conspiracy about that. To make a very long story short, I was a complete disaster. I was going through a divorce, and they gave me a lot more leeway than they probably should have fired me like 6 months before they did. But Dick Green and the management at WLVL were really, really, really great.
Dick was not a dick to you.
No, honestly.
Beautiful.
So he's
beautiful.
He's incredibly cheap, but a great guy. Right. And actually, today's his birthday. Dick Green, happy birthday!
Ready? Happy birthday to you.
Dick Green's not watching.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. That it was really nice when I was there to have the support of station management who just said, hey, it's your show, do what you want to do. And it was really cool. And I just wanted to throw it out there in case anybody ever wondered.
That's totally awesome because, John, that's kind of one of our premises of the show is to have people call in, to interact with them, of course, and to let them have their opinion. We don't have to agree with everyone, but we do agree that everyone should be entitled to call in to social media or however they want to contact us.
I think they contact us more through social media only because it's not I mean, when it was radio, it was easier because you had the radio, you can call. Now it's like they might be watching on their phone.
Yeah.
So they'd have to call, all kinds of things. So I think that's why you end up, it's not like it used to, like it would be when I was on radio.
Times are changing.
But I want to get to one more, and this is one more topic, and this is because we haven't covered it, and I'd like to cover it with a libertarian. And Peter had a great show the other night on Sunday, and it was about Black Lives Matter. And we've never talked about this
No,
You know,
just
and,
a little bit of how Niagara Falls did set an example for peaceful protest, and we did get national recognition for
Who
that.
would have saw
so,
that coming?
I mean,
they had another good.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, everything was boarded up. You would have thought. You would have thought
Pine
more.
Avenue was just plywood, from
Well,
one end to the other.
Yep.
And because they expected it to be a complete debacle, and then Niagara Falls was the shining example on
We
the
roll,
hill.
yeah.
Like
I mean,
The Niagara Falls Human Rights Commission
Bizarro world.
made that mess when they put out some freaking
commission.
when they put out that official looking letterhead saying that they were coming, and when they put that out there, it got on social media, and people got
spread
scared.
like wildfire. Yeah.
Yeah, and then here we are. But I mean, I was just wondering what you guys, it's so crazy because I get the saying. I know what it means. I know what they're saying. But I'm white, so I've obviously never been black, so I can't understand their experiences. I just can't. There's no way I couldn't. I listened to Tim Scott the other day, Senator, and he was talking about he's been pulled over 18 times, and it for no reason, and it just happened 2 years ago while he was senator. So I don't know. I don't know any of that. It's just not. I never had to live that. So
yeah, and Dante has been on and talked about examples of being pulled over on Grand Island several times for no reason. And another time being pulled over, said that he looked like a person that was involved in some type of crime, and he looked nothing like the guy. Like, the story for him getting pulled over was just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, are you
go
guys
on with your point?
No, are you? I just want to know. Are you both of you? Do you
Yeah.
take offense to any of it?
My take real quick on the whole thing is, okay, so it turns into political, Democrat and Republican, and it turns to left and right, or it turns into black versus white. What I think it should turn into, and it should be clarified, that this really should be about what's right and what's wrong. To execute somebody the way that gentleman, George Floyd, got murdered, got executed in the streets of America is ridiculous. We don't live in a third world country. We have laws. We have rules. Regardless, that should never, ever happen. I think the message is getting mixed here. Of course, we can't understand how someone else feels of a different race or culture. We're not them. There's certain things that, because of skin tone, that you're treated a certain way, either positively or negatively, is what I believe. But I think the whole thing with George Floyd, protesting is fine as long as it's peaceful, but don't get the message mixed. The gentleman was murdered. The gentleman was executed. It's wrong on all levels, and the police officer should be held accountable, and nobody should be treated differently because of their skin color. However, they do have a right to protest. They do have a right to march and voice their opinions, but let's not get the message mixed up, I guess is where I'm going with my opinion.
John, can you restate your question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you're offended by. I mean, I've met a lot that are offended
if I'm
by
offended
it.
by the phrase "Black
Yeah.
Lives Matter," no, not at all.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact,
no.
I'm offended. I'm offended by people that are offended by it. To be completely honest with you, I am offended by the Blue Lives Matter crowd. There's no such thing as a blue life. Sorry, there's just not. No one was born a cop.
Or a Smurf.
Right. So I think that, I've seen so many different ways of people putting it. When people have like a breast cancer awareness sticker, no one's going to walk up to them and go, "All cancers matter." That's just a dick move.
Right.
So when you're trying to bring attention to a cause, and the cause of Black lives in America in 2020 is obviously something that needs attention, anyone that's going to attempt to distract from that or to take away from that has some serious mental issues, as far as I'm concerned. So no, I don't have a problem whatsoever with Black Lives Matter. I don't have a problem with the protests. And, I want to say that, protests should be peaceful, and they should be. But man, we've had a lot of peaceful protests for dozens and scores of years, and they haven't gotten anywhere. So if a riot is what it takes, honestly, I'm going to support that. That might not be a popular opinion for some people. And in fact, it violates my non-aggression policy of the Libertarian Party. But if you're being oppressed and holding up a sign doesn't change that, and you keep doing that for 20 years, eventually you're going to have to change tactics. And so I am honestly not offended by anything the Black Lives Matter movement is doing. I think the Antifa, scare is.
Do you think buildings and pharmacies and banks and whatever else should be destroyed and burned down because someone's been oppressed? Is that okay, you're saying?
I'm not saying that it's okay.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that sometimes you have to do things that aren't okay to actually get somewhere.
So use a non-traditional method because they've been trying to do the same thing.
And I'm certainly not calling for anyone to, burn down banks or pharmacies or what have you. But when you've got this movement, and the movement is asking for equality, it's not like they have some crazy notions.
Right.
So when you've got this movement and the traditional methods, not even traditional methods, the quote unquote approved methods aren't getting you anywhere, then you got to change methods. And let me also point out that even the approved non-violent, what would otherwise be traditional methods, those aren't good enough either. What you can't kneel at this time. You can't do this. You can't do that. Athletes shouldn't be allowed to protest. Hollywood shouldn't be allowed to protest. Apparently, you're only allowed to protest in the middle of a farm in Iowa when nobody's watching. Other than that, it's not the time or place. And obviously, if you can only protest where it's not going to affect anyone, your protest is going to be ineffective. Sorry. So yeah, I'm not pro rioting, but I can see why they do it.
We can see it and maybe understand it but how long is that okay for? Is it okay that there's one night of rioting or 1 week or when is the line drawn? Because obviously you need attention to your thing, but if you keep destroying things and burning things down and raising all holy hell, I think you're doing more harm than good. Don't lose.
How long was the American Revolution? Like after a couple months, you're gonna be like, all right, you know what? Never mind. Let's just go home. We'll let Britain do their thing. No,
I mean you can't lose the message in.
If you're the revolutionary, you're gonna keep fighting.
Right, but you can't let the bad overshadow the good that you're trying to do. And I mean, I see it from both sides. I have different people with different skin tones in my family, and I've had a lot of experience with different people and jobs that I've worked, different people from different ethnicities and colors, and we can never be in their shoes. We all understand what was done was wrong, and it needs to be corrected. But there's a method. There's a way you go about doing things. Being barbaric, being animals, is not going to change society. It's just going to cause more separation, I feel, and justifiably so. They're angry. They've been oppressed. A lot of things have happened, but when is enough, or
it's not.
Or reparations. That's probably where you're going to go, John.
No, I was just thinking like the other day on Peter's show, and they had a special show, and a friend of Yowawe Media, Dante Miles, he put it really good, and he said something that I thought was really good. He said, of course, police lives matter. Of course, life matters. But right now, we feel like ours isn't mattering enough. And I thought that was a pretty good way to put it, I guess. I mean, I feel like that's not as, I don't know, that doesn't, that can't.
It's like the Thanksgiving dinner analogy, where everybody gets Thanksgiving dinner, and the guy that doesn't get any dinner says, hey, I deserve turkey. And the dad goes, well, everybody deserves turkey. And the guy goes, yeah, but I don't have any turkey. And the dad goes, well, yeah, but everybody deserves turkey. And so like you've got Black Lives Matter. You've got people of color saying, hey, I am of importance. And they're not getting that they feel that they deserve, that they do deserve. And so they're saying, hey, I deserve this. And everyone else who already has it is saying, well, yeah, everybody deserves it. Well, all right, well, that's awesome. If everybody really deserves it, then how about giving me what I deserve? I would like to point out the All Lives Matter crowd are also the same people that refuse to wear masks. So clearly all lives do not matter.
Never thought of that.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Real quick, because we're running out of time. Wow, that went fast.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yowawa went fast.
Yeah. Gee, I don't know. So if anybody wanted to get a hold of you, or what goes on for you, Scott? Like if
Me?
Yeah, do you got a website for people, or many of them, right? What do
I
you
actually
got?
have 12 different websites.
Wow.
And I'm in the process of
Plug away.
I'm in the process of moving them all from Blogger to WordPress because the new Blogger UI sucks. And so it's a process and it's incredibly expensive. But so I'm moving all of my websites from Blogger to WordPress. And if you go to scottleffler.com, that's my website where
Right.
I share some thoughts, and there's some information about what I do and voiceovers and etc. That's just my personal vanity website, if you will. I have a couple different things that I do that actually makes me money. One of which I run the All Western New York website, which started as All Western New York Radio, then it added All Western New York News, and now there's I think I have 8 different domains with All Western New York and then followed by something else. And they all pretty much point to the same place. And then I do commercial narration, voiceovers for a living. And,
Nice.
So I'm on Twitter. I'm on just about any social media you want to find at Scott Leffler. So
Great.
something /Scott Leffler, and you'll probably find me.
Wonderful.
All right. Thank
Well,
you, Scott.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you
I
having
really appreciate
on.
the invitation. Thank you.
Yeah,
we
teaching
wish-
us about libertarianism. I think more people need to start looking at those other parties. You got to get out of this red and blue stuff.
And
Yeah.
as I mentioned earlier, every other country, not every other country, but almost every other country in the world has figured out, how to have more than 2 parties. In Canada, they have a coalition government. If it works, a couple hundred yards behind me, it can probably work here.
Yeah. No, I think it could. I agree, and this is the one thing I always tell some Trump supporters. Don't think that if he were to lose, that the Republican Party isn't going to be happy, because I believe those people want him to lose.
Oh, yeah.
Those establishment Republicans want him.
I think they
gone.
wanted him to lose the first time.
So do I. I definitely do. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here, Scott.
Thanks
I
for having me.
appreciate it.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's been a great show. Very nice to meet you, and thank you for all your viewpoints. We do appreciate that as well. And John, go ahead with your numbers. We like to give out
okay.
some helpful numbers at the end of the show. Again, John, episode what was this? 5, number 5.
Number 5.
All right. Well, it's been a great show. Thank you for our behind the scenes crew, Peter and the Hardy Boys, and Ohio Barb and your wife, of course, here promoting us like crazy. And go ahead with your number, sir.
All right. What I want to do is after every show, if you've ever been, it's so hard sometimes, but I got to give the numbers out. If you've ever been abused, sexually abused, if you're, it doesn't matter, male, female, if you've ever had that happen to you, the YWCA here in Niagara Falls, Niagara County is outstanding. There's advocates waiting. There's counseling standing by. It's area code 716-278-9662. Confidential. They'll do anything. They'll even do, you don't even have to go in. They'll do stuff by phone. Another number you can call, it's also confidential, is RAINN with an extra N on it. So it's RAINN. And it is 1-800-656-4673. And then the last number I want to give is just a number for depression. If you're ever feeling like that, you're depressed or you're feeling suicidal.
You're never alone. Remember that. And I fully support John on this one as well.
Mental health, 1-800-662-HELP, 1-800-662-4357. And I want to say one last thing before we go. I'm going to give you a little quick rundown. Tomorrow night is Tessa Del Zoppo, Night with a Medium. Then after that that's Thursday, right? So then on Sunday, we're going to have Potter in the Falls with Dustin Hardy. And after that, we have the, it's Noelle and Carrie. Or no, I'm sorry, Colleen. Courtney, I'm sorry, thank you. Courtney, I'm sorry, Courtney. They come on at 7 o'clock.
And they're really
fun.
funny, man.
Yep.
They'll give you rolling in your chairs.
And then the week gets kicked off by Edge of the Falls. So everybody, thank you. And
Be safe,
we'll
everyone.
see you next Wednesday.
Peace.
Take care, everybody.